This video will show you how to beat level 50 and higher rep mist enemies. Defeating these enemies will guarantee you a 5-star echo, which is needed to level your databank to 15. This is the threshold that you should aim for, as that is when you can start getting 5-star echo drops. There are lower level rep mist enemies, but if you farm them while you're at databank level 11 or lower, then it won't drop a 5-star echo. So if you made the same mistake as I did, then let's jump onto the video. But how exactly are you going to defeat these enemies when you're only dealing minimal damage to them? The key is perfect dodging. After a perfect dodge, you can do a dodge counterattack, and it will deal a decent amount of damage to the enemy, independent of your character's stat or level. As you can see in this clip, my level 2 Baija with no gear also managed to deal the same amount of damage as my level 40 Verena at around 3000. When fighting these enemies, it is critical that you know their attack patterns, because they will likely to one-shot you if you don't dodge their attacks. So go to the guidebook and locate the same enemy in the overworld and learn their attack patterns thoroughly. Alternatively, you can just be like me and jump straight in with your attempts and learn the hard way. In preparation for your attempts, you should stock up on waypoint modules and revival inhalers. These items will save you a lot of time and increase your chances of success. Using the waypoint modules, you can quickly move to the enemy's location if you need to attempt the run many times like I did. And the revival inhalers are crucial to a successful run if you are close to bringing down the enemy, as they will allow you to revive a fallen character. But do note that there's a team-wide cooldown, so you can't revive your characters constantly. You can purchase revival inhalers at the pharmacy, or you can go to the synthesizer and craft them there instead. As for the waypoint modules, you can unlock them by reaching Pioneer level 2 at the Pioneer Association. This can easily be achieved just by progressing through the game naturally, and you'll be given 5 waypoint modules for free. To use them, select it from your gear and place them in the desired location. If you run out of the free waypoint modules, then you can go to the synthesizer and craft some more. It will cost you some ores, but it's well worth the investment for the time that will save you. With all the prerequisites out of the way, it is now time to select the enemies to fight. There are 2 types of rep mist enemies. I will refer to them as single enemy when there's only one enemy, and multiple enemies when there is a group of enemies. You should always prioritize the single enemies even if their levels are higher, because it is much easier to dodge their attack when there's only one of them to keep track of. These enemies include the level 85 Obelisk Guardian located on the cliff east of Camp Overwatch, and the level 120 Spearback King located west of Waven Battlefield. When fighting these enemies, a ranged unit like Verena is recommended, as you will have an easier time catching their attacks. But if you are more comfortable with their attack patterns, then you can use a melee unit like Dungeon to output more DPS. These enemies will most likely one-shot you with any of their attack, so make sure to familiarize yourself with their attack patterns if you're going to use a melee unit, as you will have less time to react when the enemies are closer to you. But on the flip side, it can be more rewarding because you can perform multiple dodge counters in quick succession. And remember that dodge counters damage on these rep mist enemies doesn't take into account the character's investment level, so you can use any character of your choice to defeat them. But of course, with higher investment, you will have an easier time dealing with them, as not only will you output more DPS, but also you might even be able to survive some of their weaker attacks. The most valuable investment you can make is to get the Bellborn Echo, because it can prevent you from taking lethal damage by giving you a 50% damage reduction for 3 hits. You can get it after defeating the Turtle Weekly boss west of the Crownless. You don't have to use your wayplates to get the Echo, so it is an extremely low investment, as you don't even need to level it up or have a full set for the damage reduction to kick in. The last mechanic that you need to know is that an intro skill will deal the same amount of damage as a dodge counter. And the best time to use an intro skill is right after the enemy just finished their attack string. This will give you a small but safe DPS window. But most importantly, weave in as many dodge counters as you can, because that will likely to be the main source of damage to these higher level enemies. Combine this with parrying to quickly deplete the stagger bar for a longer DPS window. And finally, remember that there's no timer, so take minimal risks, and repeat these steps to easily defeat the enemies and obtain your 5-star echo. And if you still don't have enough EXP for databank level 15 after defeating these 2 enemies, then the best multiple enemies to choose from are the level 50 Saberkin located east of the distribution center, the level 90 Prism Heart located southeast of the Forbidden Forest, and the level 100 Murmurin located west of Thorny Passage. With these, you should have way more than enough EXP for level 15 databank, even without getting all the 4-star echoes, and even without unlocking the Dreamless. If you are attempting to fight these enemies, a ranged unit is a must, because it is much harder to dodge their attacks in melee range when the lethal attacks are coming at you all at once. Luckily, your ranged unit doesn't have to be built, as a dodge counter will always do the same damage regardless of your investment level. But if you want to increase your odds, then you can get the Bellborn Echo like I mentioned earlier to get a 50% damage reduction. This will prove useful against certain attacks, and you can even survive with a level 2 Baija in some instances. When fighting multiple enemies, one crucial mechanic that you need to know is that if you kill one of them, then they will never respawn. So take advantage of this and target one enemy at a time to reduce the number of enemies. Another thing you have to be mindful of is your stamina, as it is very easy to deplete it when you have many things to dodge at a time. Treat your stamina like your secondary health bar because you cannot dodge if you're out of stamina. One way to help with your stamina management is with good camera control. This means that all enemies should be in frame at all times, because if not, then this can happen. Keeping good track of your enemies will allow you ample time to react to their attacks and decide if you should run or perfectly dodge. Another thing you can do is run in a circle. If you maintain good distance between the enemies, then some attacks will automatically miss without having the need to dodge it. Remember that playing safe is key because there will be many chances to perfectly dodge, as many things will be firing at you constantly. So only attempt a perfect dodge when your positioning as well as your stamina is in good condition. Keep repeating this process and eventually you will defeat the enemies to obtain your 5-star Echo. Optionally, if all of this is still too hard for you, then you can lure and trap some of the enemies so you can deal with less enemies at a time. This trick works very well in certain locations, as you can see me firing away at the bear without any retaliations. Although using this gimmick will take a lot longer to take down the enemy, you can try this if the other methods are too difficult. I hope that you managed to obtain Databank level 15 with this guide. If you have any questions, then leave it in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.